the plans for this project, I've included this template that you can use to cut out the shape of the skull. It comes on 2 pages, so you'll need to line these up and tape them together to make a single template. I like to use a window to do this. I'm going to use spray adhesive to attach the template to this 3/4 inch plywood. You can use any kind of sheet goods. This would be a good project to use MDF on since it's going to be painted. So this is the first project I get to try out my new 9-inch bandsaw. This is a small bandsaw I bought just so that I can make these types of small projects. I really haven't had a chance to test this out or anything other than making a couple cuts. So let's see how this goes. Okay, so overall that cut pretty good. I probably should have put in a 1/4 inch blade or whatever the smallest blade there is in order to make these tighter curves around these bones. That would have helped out a lot. As far as the limitations of the saw itself, the smaller gap here between the blade and the post is definitely noticeable. I don't think I would want to do projects too much bigger than this. I mean, you can do those, but I found myself having to kind of rearrange it differently each time and kind of come from the back and saw that way. But you know, there's ways around that for the most part. You know, this is not the kind of saw where I would expect to be able to resaw a slab of walnut lumber, you know, and make boards out of it. But I think for small kind of scrolly projects like this, it seems to work fine. I'll use a combination of my disc sander and my little 1-inch strip sander to smooth out these edges. I might have to do some of them by hand. I'll try to sand it as close to the line as possible, but nothing here has to be exact. I'm going to use an awl just to make a divot where I want to drill these holes. I'm going to use a hole saw to cut out this circle for the dispenser knob. There's different types of these saws. This is a common one where you can just buy this part separately and then this mechanism here just screws into the bottom like that, and then these 2 pins here just push into those holes like that. So it's got this 1/4 inch starter bit there that centers it as it goes through the wood. And the thing about using these is that you want your drill to be at a pretty low speed. So I've adjusted this to about 400 RPM. It also generates quite a bit of torque and it can pull the workpiece out of your hand, so it's best if you can clamp it to the table. Okay, that gives me the hole, but I also want that piece that it removed. So this should just tap out of there, like that. So that'll be that turning mechanism inside. Now I can drop in a Forstner bit to cut out the mouth hole. And I've sped up the drill a little bit. Finally, I need to drill just a couple of very shallow holes for his eyes. They only need to be as deep as the fender washer I'm going to use in the middle. I'm going to set a stop on this drill press so that it stops when it gets to that depth. Well, I probably went a little deeper than I intended, but that's okay. Now I just need to cut along this inside line to join these two together and to cut out his enormous brain cavity. If you have a hard time removing this template, you can saturate the paper with mineral spirits and then it'll peel off. But if you have the luxury of owning a heat gun, this will remove it right away. Many years ago, a viewer to the show sent me this heat gun because he saw me struggling to remove a template once, but man, this thing works out great. This is a sheet of acrylic or plexiglass. You can cut it just like you do wood. I'm going to stick another template to this piece of 1/4" plywood for the back. This one I just need the face part, not the bones. And I'll trace out this face onto the plexiglass so I don't have to print out another template. I also need to make that nose hole in the back piece. This is going to be the fill hole for the candy in the back. Here I'm just cutting out a little scoop for the candy wheel. So this dowel is going to fit through here and then extend out the back into the back of the dispenser, but I need glue to be on the inside of there. I don't really need it out here at all. So I think what I can do is kind of push this through like that and then just put a dab here and then drag it back a little bit. I don't think it needs a whole lot of glue, really. Oops, I think I just put a whole lot of glue. All right, so watch this. Watch the magic unfold here. Okay, ready for this? Okay. I just pull this back in here, and it's just gonna suck that glue right in there with it. At least that's the theory. Okay. So I'll leave this a little bit long. I can cut off that end once it's in the back. And look, no glue came out this side. Yeah, hopefully that went in there. Only time will tell. I guess I'll go ahead and cut off the rest of that tail now. I'll just slide it into this back piece like that and just cut it flush. I think what I want to do is screw this together first so that everything lines up, and then I can take it apart and paint it. I want to make sure that I've got this back positioned so that that wheel is pretty much centered in there so it'll spin easily. It feels a little tight in there. It might be a little bit looser once I take this plastic coating off of the plexiglass, but I can also probably just sand it down a little bit. Plus it might turn a little bit easier once I get the handle on here. This tiny hole is going to be for a set screw. So the idea here is that I want this to slide onto that peg, but not be rubbing against the plexiglass. So I want it raised up just a little bit. I don't know if it's gonna split that dowel or not. I probably should drill a hole in it. That feels about right. So there's a little gap there just so it should spin easier. I'm using 1/2" plywood to make the stand. The stand's gonna lean back about 20 degrees, so I'll cut this bevel at 10 degrees. I'll see if I can drill a hole all the way through the edge of this. It's not bad. I need to taper the opposite end about 20 degrees. I don't think it has to really be exact, so I'll just use my disc sander. I need this dowel to fit all the way through there to act as a hinge, and it's a little bit tight right now. So I think I could just sand this down. I cut these two little blocks out of 3/4" plywood. I need to drill a hole all the way through each of these. I think it's going to be a little bit smarter to drill it through this way rather than between those plies. I have a feeling those would just split apart. So here's my idea how this is going to work. I'll put the dowel through this, then through that piece, then through this other piece. So if I glue these two pieces in place, it should be able to leave enough room for that to spring open, and then this part will just stop right there. So I just got to set this, find out where this spot is going to be at that angle. Hopefully it meets up with that 10-degree angle down there. Looks like right about there. This is going to be kind of tricky to glue up because I want to glue both of these pieces but not get any glue on this piece. And to do that, I really need to glue this up with the dowel all in place so that everything lines up. So I just have to be really careful not to get glue on that, I guess. I've made a couple marks there where these should line up. Actually, now that I think about it, it shouldn't be too difficult because this main part here is set back in there. And this is a simple little cover for the candy filling hole. It just occurred to me I should probably leave a little bit to grab a hold of here so I can take it apart to paint. There. I still want that glue to dry a little longer, but I can test this out now, I think. Yeah, perfect. I'm just gonna hold this in place with this tiny little sheet metal screw. It's just a 1/2 inch long. So this is the kind of thing where you may want to experiment with different types of candies. You may want to open up this little funnel area a little wider if you've got bigger candy. And it certainly seems like Skittles work pretty well. If you'd like to make one of these yourself, I've got a full set of plans along with all the templates and all the instructions you need over at shop.wwmm.com. Thanks for watching.